Hello everyone, I'm Mark Selahar and this is my video for ODC 872 Phase 3 DB2. Um, Apologies if you hear some yelling in the background. I don't know if the camera's picking this up or not, but there's a hotel downstairs, and even though I'm 15 stories up, there must be some soccer game going on and they have it outside and they're watching it and there's a lot of screaming. So if you're hearing that, that's what's going on. Uh, the purpose of this video is to talk through and choose a change model. In my opinion, at least in my sort of basic knowledge of change and its implementation, most of the models that I looked at follow the basic premise of Lewin's unfreeze, change, refreeze. And what is probably distinctive about each one is sort of the steps that happen and the bits that go on in between those particular steps. The change model that I chose was Kotter's 8-step model. In particular, for me, the approach is one that not only gives you a blueprint for change, but also, in my opinion at least, best manages the politics that go around change in any organization, but particularly in large organizations where there's the need for quick wins, there's the need for building support, there's the need for getting the right people in the right power. I mean, obviously, if we all had the power, then we could move forward with whatever our choices were. But you know, it's not enough just to have the idea. You need the idea and the power, and then you need the power and the expertise, and then you need to make the change, and then you need to make the change stick. So the Kotter's model, from my point of view, best exemplifies and best lays out that strategy for making change. The first step is establishing the sense of urgency, and obviously as ODC people, we tend to feel that necessity all the time. Unfortunately, it's not always as apparent to our colleagues as it is to us, and so often the impetus is upon us to make certain that other people understand this same urgency. So while we may see the need for change, others may not see it. They may not feel the need for change. Obviously, most people are resistant to change, or see change as not necessarily being an improvement. So the issue for us is then to really create that sense of urgency. Once that's done, the next step is creating a coalition, and that is really about getting that sort of support at a very foundational level. Obviously, unless it's our own company or we're particularly powerful in whatever organization we're in, we don't have necessarily the authority to say yes or no to any particular thing. There's always there's the politics of it, there's the budget of it, there's the structure of it, there's all these pieces that we need to manage in getting that support. And so it's important that we get a leading coalition so that we get power behind our ideas. The next step is developing the change vision, and that is really about, you know, once we have buy-in, is setting that course and you know, creating the direction that this change is going to take. The next one is empowering broad-based action, and this is really about removing the obstacles that might impede the change, whether it be structurally or functionally, but it's finding those places where our change doesn't fit, and rather than changing the change, changing the structure. Anything other than that would be a compromise to our change vision, and so we must find ways to change the structure or change the processes that stand in the way of completely developing our change. The next step is generating short-term wins. This is particularly important in any large sweeping transformation, particularly one that encompasses a great deal of time. You know, anytime that something spans a great deal of time. People are, if people don't see certain things happening, it feels like it's not happening at all. And so unless people see the results of something happening, then it's there's a sense of, is that happening? Is it not happening? Particularly at the employee level. So it's important to have quick wins built into the project. That low-hanging fruit then becomes something that we can leverage in order to get greater support, and to also show and communicate to all levels of the organization that the change is not only important, but that it also works. The next step is never letting up. One of the things that often plagues a change initiative is that there's always great enthusiasm at the very beginning, and as time goes on, it becomes very difficult to maintain that level of enthusiasm. Teams change, people change, people may leave the organization, people get tired, people start, you face obstacles which become difficult, and the first time it's okay, the second time it's okay, by the third time you're thinking, oh man, just want. And so it's sometimes difficult to maintain that same level of enthusiasm. And unless you do, people will start to see that as a fissure or a crack in the change plan, and oftentimes people see that, well, they'll take the lack of enthusiasm or the lack of continually pushing for defeat. And certainly in any change initiative, that same enthusiasm must be carried through from the very beginning to the very end. And then the last one is incorporating the changes into the culture. And this one is particularly important. Obviously, this is the end result of all the little bits and pieces that have happened all along the way. But the natural instinct for most employees is to go back to the status quo, to go back to what they know. That's what they feel comfortable with. And so often that sense is, I need to go back to that. And unfortunately, unless we really put a stop to that, unless we really bake things into the culture so that the option of going back is no longer there, people will take that easier, softer way. And so it's important that not only is the change apparent and communicated and at all levels, but it's also important that it becomes part of the overall culture, so that it's no longer viewed as just a change. It's not finances change, or HR's change, or marketing's change. It is a change for the organization, and it becomes part of the culture. And it's only by it becoming a part of the overarching organization does it really become embedded in the day-to-day of the firm or the organization, and then it becomes something that just becomes a normal part of everyday life at the organization. That's the reason that I chose the Kotter's model. From my point of view, I do think that it, like I said at the beginning, it manages those little pieces along the way, which are really important in an organization, particularly a highly politicized organization. And so this is one way to get support, to create a vision, to show wins, to communicate, and to really embed the change in the organization. And it's only by doing all of those steps does the change actually take hold and then become part of the organization. Thanks.